We're officially recording. Welcome everyone to our virtual play-based tour. We're so excited that you're joining us. This is our last little gem that we're highlighting. We highlighted showcased two other programs. So if you missed those, you can always go to our Teach Lark website or the website that was on the flyer that you received, and we'll post those videos if you want to go back and look at the Little Owl or Growing Place virtual tour. Today, we are highlighting Town and Country, which is in Palos Verdes, PV, right? Or Rolling Estates.
Palos Verdes.
Palos Verdes. They're so close together that sometimes I use them synonymous.
So once you're structured, all that falls on the same
thing. There we go. Sorry about that. And we wanted to put together this project because there are so many wonderful programs in our community that are doing fabulous things with children and families and in their environments. So we want to bring them to you, and that's exactly why this vision came to life. So without further ado, I will let Christine take over and give you a glimpse as to what Town and Country has to offer and what they do with young children and families.
Hi, so sorry about that. I'm a little new to Zoom here and utilizing this. I'm a teacher at Town and Country. I've been there, I've been involved with Town and Country since 1987. I worked at a couple of preschools prior to that I felt comfortable at. I got a nice little foundation there. But what I really wanted to explore with young children was to develop their sense of independence. And I really believe in the ability of children to make their own choices. And I wanted to facilitate the ability for children to grow in that area. And so for that, I needed to be in that kind of environment. And luckily, I stumbled on this program on Town and Country. I had a kind of a mentor, a couple of mentors at the community college that I had gone to. I already had a degree in political science from a university. I was getting ready to go to law school and decided to go in this direction and fell in love with it, actually. I wanted children to be treated well, and I believed in their abilities. And when I learned about this program, I was really gung-ho to get involved with it. And so I've been involved with it ever since. Town and Country works on the philosophy of Rudolf Streicher's, which is about allowing children the freedom to make their own choices, the freedom to fail, the freedom to experience the consequences of their decision-making process. Relies heavily on children communicating with one another. And for the most part, teachers pretty much working as facilitators rather than quote unquote teaching children. We're not quite as open-based curriculum as say Reggio, but there's a lot of that we do, a lot of Reggio in terms of watching children, seeing what they're interested in. So what I'm going to do is right now, I'm just going to present a short video. It's an overall kind of view that was a tour, virtual tour, if you will, that we gave to parents, and it's available on the website, so you can, if you want to go back to that. And it just kind of gives you an overall view of the way that we look at children and the way and what our program looks like. We're located in Palos Verdes. We're lucky enough to have just a beautiful surrounding. We're also affiliated with the outdoor classroom. So we do lots of our program outside. Whatever you can do inside, you can do outside. That doesn't mean that regardless of what program you're in or how city are, you can always implement some aspect of it. So I don't want anybody to be put off by, oh, well, we don't look like that and we don't there's no way we could approach that. There is a way to approach it. So this is just sort of an inspiration of like, you can kind of look and see what we do and kind of maybe move that into, or think about ways in which you can incorporate that into any kind of setting that you're in. So I'm going to share the screen and open up that video. The first one will be the virtual tour.
Hello. Welcome to Town and Country Nursery School. I am Miss Tony.
And I'm Miss Sharon.
And we're the co-directors at Town and Country. And we are delighted that you are interested in learning about our school. And we want to show you all around and tell you about what we do to help promote learning for the 3 through 5-year-old child. Here we go. Town and Country Nursery School was founded in 1958 by Miss Pat Horan and Miss Mary Muchmore to serve the children and families of the surrounding communities. In 2002, our school moved to St. Francis Episcopal Church, where we are currently located. For over 60 years, Town and Country has offered a nurturing and stimulating educational environment for young children from 2.5 through 5 years old. Our school is based on the philosophy of Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs. We believe that children, in fact, all people, learn best when they are responsible for their own behavior. We encourage children to make age-appropriate choices and to learn from those decisions and their consequences. Children determine how to participate, to cooperate or not, and to live with the consequences of those choices. Our staff helps children to grow by remembering never do for a child what he or she can do for himself or herself. Encouraging attitudes coupled with allowing children to do many things for themselves makes for a positive and happy learning environment. When children begin at Town and Country, we group them very closely by age, often only 3 or 4 months apart within each class. This chronological and developmental similarity helps the classmates to become interactive quickly and easily. Social, cognitive, emotional, and physical activities are planned because we believe in the education of the whole child. Emphasis is placed on motor skills, large and small muscle,
But like I say, all this kind of mess going on, I don't touch it.
art, and science, as well as many academic readiness activities. Academics are here, but not the most important focus. We know that young children who learn through play by exploring and experiencing challenges and successes in all areas of their development, grow in capability and independence, and become excellent students as they grow older.
The most significant factor in the development and well-being of children is building relationships with responsive, skilled, and loving adults. Learning is maximized for each child when he or she feels a sense of trust and belonging from the people and places around them. Our Town and Country teachers and teaching assistants work to build close and loving relationships with your children. Over half of our staff has worked at Town and Country for 20 years, a commitment which separates our school from most other preschools. Our staff is a loyal and cooperative team of talented, well-trained, and experienced individuals who love their work, helping to nurture and enhance the education and development of 2.5 to 5-year-old children and their families. Our ratios of teachers to children at Town and Country is another essential factor in delivering quality childcare to young children. Having more teachers provides better supervision, individualized care, the ability to set up a rich learning environment, and also a greater variety of personality types. Each trained staff member also acts as a social magnet, building friendships, facilitating the learning process, anchoring activities, helping to get children involved, and mentoring and modeling and problem-solving skills as they support each child as a unique individual. Our teacher-to-child ratios at Town and Country are 1 to 5 throughout the school, which far exceeds the state requirements, which is 1 to 12.
We know at Town and Country that children learn everywhere and all of the time. Our curriculum is child-centered, developmentally appropriate, and play-based. We assess and build on children's interests and talents as we help them to grow in capability, confidence, and independence. Town and Country teachers, our children, and the environment all collaborate in creating curriculum. Teachers develop a plan and stage our environments to provide a great variety of irresistible activities in which children can choose to engage and learn. However, learning, like life, doesn't always go according to plan. Social encounters, life events, discoveries, children's interests, news, and family experiences can all contribute to learning and easily change the plan for the day. TNC believes that a child who helps to initiate and influences learning is much more likely to be excited and joyful about the educational process now and in the future. We encourage children to bring their ideas, interests, and findings to provoke and transform learning, move things and change activities, promoting questions and discoveries to help lead curriculum. We want children to know that the town and country space and equipment, as well as the supplies, belong to them, and these are theirs to use, clean up, and provide care. Each child is part of the whole classroom and plays a role in contributing, adjusting, cooperating, and enhancing learning. Since our learning can be messy, we also encourage you to send your children in old play clothes and closed-toed shoes that are easy for them to put on and take off, allowing children to climb, ride trikes, paint, and enjoy sand and water play, providing the sensory experiences and concrete learning they need as they engage in the hands-on activities that support their growth and capability.
Before COVID-19, our classes met indoors for half of the day and outdoors for half of the day. But now, in order to provide the best health practices during COVID, our classes currently meet outdoors 90% of the school day, using our beautiful outdoor classroom, adjoining nature areas, and the classroom adjacent patios. Town and Country is a partner in the Outdoor Classroom Project, dedicated to increasing the quantity, quality, and benefit of outdoor experiences for young children. Our staff is committed to helping children connect and discover the natural world and the breadth of activities that are available outside. Our outdoor environment and this strong outdoor curriculum is the most significant difference from other schools because it allows children to use their imagination, their sense of discovery, build expressive language, practice risk-taking activities, work in partnership, encourage one another, create and test science and engineering principles, and develop social emotional skills, all within a natural play context. Why do 3 through 5-year-old children learn best through play? Play is a child's work. It naturally provides the experiences by which children develop and learn about the world around them. It develops their abilities socially, cognitively, emotionally, and physically. Through play, children learn how things work and how they can interact with them. Play allows children to explore ideas, practice new skills, solve problems, interact with others, learn to communicate, work with emotions, develop the ability to cooperate, explore ideas, and develop creativity. Albert Einstein describes play as the laboratory for the synthesizing of cognitive and social emotional skills in one experience.
Town and Country understands that children are competent and capable. Each child is a unique individual who learns at his or her own pace. We build on this thinking by respecting each child's temperament, style of expression, and pattern of development as we communicate, encourage, and support their steps of growth. Our staff encourages children to actively explore and develop his or her unique interests. This exploration can require struggle for the child. We respectfully allow a child to work through frustration so they can find their own solution as we communicate our support and availability to them if they need it. This builds the child's sense of accomplishment, esteem, and capability in doing for themselves. Thank you very much for your interest in Town and Country Nursery School. We welcome your calls and emails to answer any specific questions you have about our program. Contact information.
So that's a brief overview of some of what goes on. The classrooms have since been open, so you didn't get to see a lot of what happens inside, but I think you get a feel for what's going on at our school. I'd like to ask, how comfortable people felt with some of the activities that they saw children doing. Was there any point in which you felt nervous with what you were watching? I'm used to seeing these kinds of, I'm one of the people, the teachers on staff, some of those videos that you were seeing, some of those scenes, I was the teacher in the background with those children. And so I'm very comfortable. I don't, but I can imagine working in coming from different scenarios that you could look at some of that and kind of wonder. So I'd like to open that up in terms of what kinds of questions do you have involved that you're curious about with regards to risk taking? For sure, we're a messy school. We are, and I'm sure you didn't see any paint smocks or any kinds of attempts to help protect clothing. We do have them available. If children really want to wear them, we will wear them. But for the most part, parents learn quite quickly to send children in clothes that they want their child to feel comfortable getting messy in. But obviously there'll be that girl who wants to wear that dress. And so it's like, well, if it's always their choice as to what they want to participate in. And if they want to participate in a messy activity, then paint smocks are available. But generally, for the most part, they learn very quickly how to navigate our environment, parents and children. But in terms of risk taking, I just like to, because I know that's kind of the first thing people are, it's so messy. You should have seen my floor yesterday. It was covered in paint. It gets cleaned up, but it was covered in paint from an activity that we did. So I just want to kind of address that. Yes, we are a painty, messy group, but I'm really curious as to what questions people have about the risk taking, how their comfort level and what they might have seen there.
And please feel free, you can unmute yourself and blurt it out loud. If you feel more comfortable typing it in the chat, you can also do that. But Christine, there's already a few comments on there if you want me to read them off.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Melissa says, it looks like such an amazing school. I definitely love that the kids get to do stuff in nature. And Natalia says, I felt a little nervous watching the child climbing the wall over the river, but the environment looked beautiful. And Carol Wood says, some of the physical activities seem rather risky for toddlers. Christine, your program is 3 to 5, correct?
2.5 to 5, yeah.
2.5 to 5. Okay.
And the 2.5-year-olds were out there.
Oh,
they weren't allowed.
Injuries. Oh, sorry, Christine. It's a little laggy on my end.
It's okay. No, we don't. The reason we don't, I think, is because what you don't hear, we have tree climbers too. I don't think that was on there, but what you don't hear are teachers talking at children while they're involved in activities. If you allow a child, I'm nearby and in any kind of activity and I'm watching carefully, but I'm not talking at the child. Okay, you need to watch out, or you're really up high up there. There's none of that kind of chatter going on. Where I'm watching and I'm allowing that child to feel their own body and the own weight of their body. And if you allow children to play with their body by themselves without being interrupted externally, they will internally monitor their own feelings of fear, their own feelings of strength, their own feelings of balance. And so when that happens, then they are now learning how to accommodate to their environment, how to climb, how to run, how to jump. And most children, in fact, I can say almost all children I've seen don't put themselves in places of danger if they're allowed to just move of their own accord. When they get in danger is when there's a parent or a teacher nearby who starts to engage them. And when they become engaged, they lose focus, they turn away, they become defensive and or combat, any number of things. When they're disengaged from what internally they're feeling as they climb a ladder, as they attempt a risky behavior like reaching for a vine to climb over. Now, it looks like he's like 15 feet off the ground. He's more likely he's about 2 feet off the ground, maybe 3. So even if he does take a tumble, we let him experience, wow, you just fell pretty hard there. And we let children just experience that. We don't have a lot of injuries. I can't think, the last time there was an injury, I think it was on a slide, that was like 1 foot in a wood chip yard off a piece of equipment. But in terms of children being out in nature or climbing trees, but we really do as a staff allow children to be responsible for their own bodies, and there's not a lot of chatter at children while they're moving their body.
There's a great question that pertains to what you just said, Christine.
Mhm.
Anna is asking, have you ever had to approach a parent that feels that the activities are too risky?
I have never had that, mostly because I'm not asking their child to do a risky activity. They're there for them to experience or not. And so I'm not putting children up on top of slides and going, okay, it's time for you to slide down, or on top of a box. And so they're out there. But also as a teacher, I want my children to succeed. I don't want to put them in a place of where they're failing or feel like they're failing. I always want them to succeed. So my job is to assess their skill level and then get them there. So during COVID, and I'm sure any of you have, when schools were closed, when my children came back in, I could assess the difference in their skill level between children that I normally had before COVID and then children who came in after. And their large motor skills were weak. Their balance was off. So I worked them up to the kinds of things that I thought they might enjoy. So that it's me paying attention to what children, what their skill level is, and then working them towards that. So do I take them out a long nature hike? We have nature hikes that can go on for 40 minutes on a day no, I don't do that. I wait. We do little short nature hikes. We build up to that. And then I take them in longer and longer. So we don't go out to the fallen tree, which is, I think, one of the things you saw out there where children are walking across the top of it like a balance beam. I don't put that out there first. And then when they're out there, once again, like I said before, we're just allowing them to experience the activity in the ways that they feel best comfortable, so that children aren't ever saying that they're scared or they didn't. So when your child comes back home and they've been excited and happy and tired, parents typically are just thrilled with their children being out in nature as much as they are.
There are a few other questions here. Christine, Megumi is asking, well, first she wants to confess that she is very envious of your great outdoor classroom. And she's asking, how big is your yard? And are there any sections that you open for a certain class? And how do you deal with licensing for all your natural environment?
Licensing has come in. They were in recently. We had a very thorough going through. Very thorough. She was 3 days there, I think. With a program like this, the outdoor classroom is a project. Any school can become involved with the outdoor classroom. It's run out of La Cañada, Flint Ridge, if I'm not mistaken. And they are a great resource. in helping your school to learn how to use the outdoors. They provide a lot of workshops. We as a staff, when we started becoming more used, when we first moved in there, we didn't do as much outdoors, primarily because we weren't as trained. I think I was one of the first teachers was like, that's a hiking trail, we're going down it. And then other teachers followed. But the outdoor classroom was a great resource to learn how to be in the outdoors and how to take, regardless of what you have. So with licensing, they're also a resource for that. And you have to, of course, follow licensing rules. We're not following them. They've, like I said, they've been in there and, we've been gone through. They had some concern about, we have a mud yard and there was a little pool of water that was in there and there were some pine cones in there, and the licensing agent had some challenges with that. In the back and forth in the conversations with them, they finally came to understand that's not the same as having a big bucket of water that's left unattended where a child could be endangered. So they were willing to work with us and to understand what we're doing here. So we haven't had huge challenges with licensing because we're not following what licensing asks us to do. But when they have questions, we try to answer them and to accommodate whatever they feel is uncomfortable in terms of what we're involved with risk taking. But I hope that speaks to that. But the outdoor classroom also really is a great resource program, and we're part of that project. And now we're kind of, what you're seeing is the result of us having gone over years and years of learning how to be outdoors and how to work with children outdoors and having taken lots of workshops. So the staff is trained we don't just walk, go out there and unprepared in terms of what we're working with outdoors. I hope that answers the question.
I did. I popped in the link for the outdoor classroom project. So if any of you are interested in learning more about this or want your program to participate, please go to the chat and click on the link, and we'll also send you the link with all these resources. And there's a few more other questions here. How is their eating and sleeping routines in that school? And this is something when I first walked into Town and Country that blew me away. So I'll let Miss Christine talk about it.
Our program goes from 9 to 12. So when we have a 9 to 12 program, there's no need for a nap. There's an aftercare program that goes from noon until 3. And so parents can, on a daily basis, choose or choose not to join the aftercare program, and that's a separate program. And so that's how we handle that issue of nap time. The other part of eating is we used to serve snacks, and then with COVID, we switched that over to children bring in their own, and we've kind of hung on to that, and that works really well. So children walk in with their backpacks and they have their supply for the day. If they want to, we also will provide nutritious snacks in the afternoon for children who have basically run out of food because they chose to eat all of their food already at lunch, or they just don't want to eat anything out of their lunchbox anymore. It just depends on what they want to do. But that's how we handle that. And our program it starts at 8 in the morning. We have an early bird program that is its own little program, then regular class 9 to 12, and then we close at 3. And it's daily.
Few other questions. The other one was, is there a conflict resolution by teachers in case of disagreements?
Yes, I have another video to show you. I'm so glad that question was asked because we really encourage children to work it out amongst themselves. So what you're going to see is a teacher speaking in the background a little bit. I think she does a couple praise things in the beginning, which is not, but sometimes it slips out. And then, but you'll hear children talking to each other and trying to work things out. Now, these are children that were in my class last year. And I mean, they were in, how should I say, I have the middle fours, and so they will stay, most of them will stay one more year in our program, and when they're at 5. So you're going to be looking at 5-year-olds who have been in our program for probably 3 years, who are very adept at conflict resolution. And so I just love to show that. And I'm just so proud of, I'm just so proud of them, and listening to what they learned from in my classroom, and how they're carrying it into their next classroom, and how they've grown even more in their classroom. They're just talking to each other, and they're trying to traverse a small stream that we have on the property. So let me just open that up. And put that away, and it's this one.
I'm Cindy J. Oh my gosh, Jonah, that was awesome. Your feet will dry. Look at me. Cindy J. That's how I'm actually talking. That's how I'm actually talking. What just happened? What just happened? He actually thinks he's a gorilla, and I actually watched Tarzan. How in the world? How in the world? I can do it. That's a good thing. Well, it's a deep heel. Then we get off. Do what I did and just try to play your shoe. She did one and then get out of it. Wake up. No. Wake up, guys. Why? Literally, I have to. Be careful. Oh, what? Stop. Yeah? I'll never get up. I'm almost there. Funny. I can do this. Are you trying to show my mom? Can you do that? Watch this. That's how you do it. Say hi. My mom and dad. Say hi. This is fun. How in the world did you do that, Trevor? I didn't need a hard way. Is that some practice? It's just like cola. I can't know. Ow. Ow. Was that crazy? I stepped in the wall. I got it. It wasn't scary. Yeah, that one was scary. Well, I'll do it again. Let's do it again. Yeah. This part is a bit easier for me because I've already done it. You can get off first. Want to go? I'm trying to jump around this way. I'm trying to jump around this way. Oh, banana. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. No. Okay, I'll wait for you. I'm dying in the window.
Thanks, I will.
Oh. You have to jump into this one.
Mm.
I'm drawing the secret. This is all the way. I know a secret. Even my sock. My sock got wet too. Jumping on the bed. Jumping on the one Santa.
The dinosaurs are okay, but the water stays in the water table. There you go. I said you can take them off all by yourself. Sit down and try to take them off. I know you can do it. Try from back here. Try from
So if you saw the children navigating, going across the log, and they're talking to each other, saying, well, if you go first, if you, I'll let you go first and then I'll go across. And then that happened. And then one boy decided he couldn't wait. So he jumped around, went around him. There were so many, opportunities in there to get, as a teacher, to get involved and start directing how that should go based on what you think is best and what is safe. And okay, you stay there and you cross now. And, so none of that happened. None of that. The children navigated that, and you could see how gentle they were with each other. One of them put his hand on the back as the other one crossed, just like a little connection with one another, but also like, I see you got across and now I'm going to try. And then the other boy put his hand up. No, you go around. Okay, I'll wait for you. So they cooperated with each other. And they used their words. One of them got worried. That's why he put his hand up. No, don't cross right now. So they're all listening and paying attention to one another. And how did we get to that point? I think that's the question as like conflict resolution. It's a lot of teaching children to respect one another, to respect one another's feelings. And primarily that's by respecting the children's feelings initially. So I hear how upset you are that, this happened to you. And so you can be with me while you're upset, and then we'll figure out what to do with that when you're all done. But I know you'll be able to sort that out. I'll help you. And so again, I'm working as a facilitator and not necessarily as let me solve this problem for you. It's like, I hear that was really rough on you. He really did grab that. I saw it. It was tough. And so what are we going to do now? Well, you can hang with me. Do you need a tissue? Would you like a drink of water? Then when you calm down, we can, put some thought into what you want to do next. Would you like to go find another toy? Would you like to go talk to him about it? Would you like to go play somewhere else? What would you like to do? And so then children can solve their own problems when they're allowed to have their feelings respected. Most people and children, especially if you validate their feelings and go, yeah, you're right about that. That was really rough. That goes a long way towards them going, sighing and knowing that someone's on their side, saw what happened, and then figuring out what to do next with that. So that process begins with the 2-year-olds, continues with the 3-year-olds, continues with the 4-year-olds, and to the 5-year-olds. We just go over that over and over so that children, when children feel respected, when their feelings are respected, then they learn how to respect other children as well.
So we have a couple of hands up and some questions. I know Priscilla has had her hand up.
Hi, good evening. I had 2 questions. One question is that the first video was very interesting to watch. For example, if the center from far down, if the center far down, the professor can supervise children, like if they fall down.
If they fall down,
Yeah, like for example, if they fall in the monkey bar.
you're concerned about them falling down on the monkey bars?
Yeah, yes,
I
like for example, the professor can help children to get up and to say, are you feeling better?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, in my class, so how are injuries handled? If a
Yeah,
child falls,
yes,
I hear you. So, absolutely, yes, children are checked on. Generally, the question the guest gets asked is, are you okay? I'm sorry, there's something in the background of someone that's coming through. It's a little distracting. Can someone mute? I'm not sure if they can hear it. Okay, thank you. Generally, what happens is that children are asked, are you okay? And so so we give them, we don't generally run and pick children up. Children have the ability to fall down, skin knees, and it's healthy. They need to learn how to cope and how to recover. So we walk over, we check on they're okay, it's calm, we'll bring friends over, we'll all check on them, okay. That might be the youngest. After we've checked on them, we check on them and see what they want. What would you like? Would you like a Band-Aid? Would you like a hug? Would you like some ice? So we check on them and give the responsibility back to them. If they'd like to just be nearby and be upset, that's okay too. In my classroom, my children are a little bit older. I have a special job called an emergency medical tech. Sometimes it's called a caregiver. So as the year goes on, children learn to go check on other children. So we might hear someone fell down. Oh, who's the emergency medical tech today? Oh, who's the caregiver today? They'll run over and go, Eloise will run over and say, Jack, what happened? Are you okay? No, I fell down. So what do you need? Would you like, and then the children are responsible for running over and getting the Band-Aids, taking them back, helping them up if they need to be helped up, and bringing them over to me if they think it's something I need to look at. And parents are well aware of this. And usually what happens when children get kind of attention, they don't need to demand attention by getting, but by being hurt. So when they go home, if it's, an injury that was pretty rough, then I'll talk to the parent, let them know, oh, he was, went around a corner and crashed his bike and fell off, took a pretty big tumble today. And then the parents will say, yeah, Eloise looked at me. The children will say, Eloise looked at me and she gave me a Band-Aid or she gave me some ice. And then that's the end of it. And children learn how to cope independently, and they learn how to be caregivers independently. That's the goal.
Okay, thank you so much. It was my concern.
Sure.
Thank you.
And another question that many are intrigued by is that first part of the video, Christine, where the children were crossing over the branch. Can you give us a little bit of context as to where that is in your program? Is it part of your yard? Is it part of the hiking trail?
Yes, it's part of a hiking trail that's just outside of the yard. It's not very far. they go down like a little embankment, and then there's that's down there. So there's another one that's got a tree that's got a, because we're in a kind of a like a little, I don't know, like a little tiny valley, and there's lots of eucalyptus trees down there. So the guys will get over there and they cut the trees down because they can be dangerous branches. So they cut those trees down, and then they're flat, and they just leave the trees out there, and we, climb on them. And sometimes the trees fall over on the weekend, and then we climb on those trees. So there's just there's some hiking trails in the area, and that was one of the places that we use frequently.
Another question that's being asked quite a bit is how are children with special needs accommodated?
Oh, we we welcome special needs children. It's, we're a lottery-based school. We're not a, you put your card in, so to speak, and then we get however many cards we have, and then we pull cards out of the bucket, and whoever gets in, gets in. So there's no way that we can screen for children coming in or not coming in. Who comes in, comes in. I've had everything from children who are on oxygen tanks to children who are visually challenged. This year I have quite a few children who have a variety of different atypical challenges, and they all flourish in the outdoor classroom, more so than being inside the classroom. Their parents are thrilled that they're there. They grow faster in terms of being socially accepted and being able to manage their own behavior. It's a big yard. And at any given time, if we need to take a walk outside on the own, there's enough staff where I can walk out with the guy who's having a really hard time and just take a little quick 3-minute nature walk, come back in, and we've regrouped and we're ready to join. So we have, in terms of issues with special needs children, they just have, a great environment. We're not, and the idea that they get to make lots of choices just appeals to them. Even, I think even more than typical children.
Yeah. And if I can just add a little bit, I am the mother of a little one who has a disability. My little one has something called sensory processing disorder. And in short, it's the brain's inability to process sensory input. And for him, it's affected his ability to, in a sense, his sense of touch. So anything that touches his body, his mouth, his entire body, like tags, shoes. And so if you noticed in the previous video how some of the children were walking barefoot. And for my little guy, shoes are the worst invention to mankind. And having a program or a center that really allows him to take off his shoes and his socks has been liberating for him. And to him, that makes all the difference in the world. So what you really see in Town and Country is that the environment really caters to all learners, and the environment is inclusive. And notice how fluid it is too. The more changes we have in our environment, that's hard for children with disabilities. It's hard for all of us, right? We're all creatures of habit and we don't like change. But when it's a lot more fluid and the children direct their play, then there's less transitions, and this makes it so much easier for little ones who may have disabilities. So thank you, Ms. Christine, for providing that, because my little guy doesn't go to Town and Country, but if I could, and if I were closer, I'd be in a heartbeat just to take off his shoes and engage and just all that space out there is freedom. It's great. Another question that was asked is, how is bullying approached? Is there a policy?
Bullying. Yeah, I don't use that language inside of my classroom or even in the school. With children who are having trouble with anger. We really work on being able to use your words to say what it is you're upset about. So I often, want my children to be able to communicate, to negotiate. And I don't particularly have an investment in the way in which they choose to negotiate their problems. And so their problems belong to them. And I'm not looking for things to be fair. And I know that sounds very hard because as an adult, you're like, things should be fair. He had it for 3 minutes, you get it for 3 minutes. But what I'm looking for is for children to cooperate and communicate and respect. Those are my guidelines. So when I can get children to communicate with each other, then, and they're doing that independently, whatever they come up with, okay, well, I'll give it to you in 10 minutes. And if that's okay with the other child, he says, okay, I'll get it in 10 minutes. And everyone feels good, then I'll leave it alone. I don't go and say, well, 10 minutes is too long for you to have, keep that, if it's their negotiated settlement and they're both okay with that, then I allow that to happen. And I know I'm speaking very abstractly here, so I'm trying to think of a concrete example to give you in terms of, let's say we have 2 4-year-olds out in the yard, and one 4-year-old walks over and grabs the shovel of the other 4-year-old and runs away with it. And so, the 4-year-old who's going to be, now there's any number of emotional outbursts that can happen as a result of that happening. They can cry, they can get angry and chase them, they can do nothing and go find another shovel, they can, so there can be any number of reactions to that. So based on the way that child reacts, so if they, cry and come running to me, then I'll say, yeah, I saw him grab that shovel. You were really playing with that. You weren't even done with that shovel, were you? And what I'm doing in that interaction is I'm taking away all of the power and all of attention from the guy who just grabbed a shovel. And I'm giving all of my wonderful attention and focus to the one who needs it. So that's the first thing that happens. So that, and I'm not even going over there. So let's say that child finally calms down and says, yeah, I want it back. I want to go get my shovel back. Well, let's go get that shovel back. So we walk over and we find whoever it is that grabbed the shovel and we say, what would you like to do? Would you like to talk to him? Based on the age, I might model what needs to be said, or I'll let him tell so yeah, I wasn't done with that shovel yet and I want it back. And so that's the conversation that starts to happen now. And then it can just go from there. So what I'm interested in having these 2 children communicate, one child is going to communicate his feelings. I'm really sad that you took it from me. I'm really mad that you took it from me. I'm, whatever that is. Now, so would I call that bullying? No, I wouldn't call that bullying. I have other words for that, but I don't call it bullying. That child definitely needs some, to be the child who, what I look at that is like, that child's having trouble taking turns. That's what's going on there. He just doesn't know how to get his needs met. And that's the only way he knows how to do it. And so then once the child who's been, distraught gets his needs met, then we address the other child's. Oh, you wanted a shovel too. Oh, you wanted that shovel. Oh, I see. Well, when you grabbed it from it, he was really mad about that. So what do you want to do now? So should we go find a shovel or what, now there's a problem solving. So once I address his needs, and I don't think in terms of bullying, I think in terms of a child who just doesn't have the social skills. And my job is to teach them, to help them learn some social skills, to be able to get the things that they want, so that the next time he walks up there, he can go, I really like that blue shovel. Could I have that blue shovel? And there's, no, I'm working with it right now. Well, that's really my favorite shovel. I just love that shovel because it fits so good in my hand. And I've heard children have these conversations like this. And then, what if I get you the red shovel and then we could trade? Okay, let's try, so if they can convince their friend, and usually when that happens, the other child will cooperate. Oh yeah, you can have this. It's your favorite shovel. Yeah, you can have the shovel. Sure, Trevor, you can have the shovel. I'll get another shovel. And it's amazing to watch 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds do that independently as a result of having their needs met and their feelings validated.
Thank you for that, Christine. Or forcing children to share, right? It's so much easier to say share and to take it away, but what exactly are we modeling to children? That someone much bigger than you can come over and just take that and give it to someone else.
Yeah, they'll say, he's not sharing. And I'm like, oh, yes, is. We're all sharing. We're all sharing this room. We're all sharing everything in the whole school. We share the bathroom, we share the bikes, we share everything. But he's having a long turn with that right now.
Absolutely. We are at 7:04. Christine, any other questions? We do want to honor your time, but if you have any questions, any comments, anything that might have resonated with you or something that inspired you, we'd be happy to hear from you. You can unmute yourself, you can type it in the chat. Anything. I wish that we would have done this a little longer, right? Because we've noticed after each one that everyone wants more and we just pique their interest. We sort of tease you. That's not fair.
Well, it's inspiring. That's what I think. That's what I got. When I saw environments like this, that schools could be different, it was inspiring, and it just set me on a journey of learning. I've been doing this a long time. So, and we've been working on that school a long time. You heard we started off with, 50 years ago. So it's a process. But if you start on that step, on that process, with some resources like the one you're at right now, like the fact that we're even giving this, Liz has put together these fabulous tours for everyone. It gets your eyes opened into that there's different ways that preschools can reasonably allow children to make more choices in their environment. And I'll tell you what, as a teacher, if I had to be the kind of teacher who was telling children what to do all day long, I would not be in here as long as I have been. I can guarantee that. Burnout is real if you're that kind of teacher, and I am never burnt out. I can honestly say that. So it's healthy. It's healthier for teachers as well.
Absolutely. And Ms. Christine is not only our facilitator for today, but she is also a mentor teacher for Los Angeles Harbor College. So if any of you want to take the practicum course that is also the student teaching, Ms. Christine could be one of your mentors, and you could be at her facility or her program in her environment. So just a little side note there. Any other questions or comments that you may have, or insights or aha moments? I think someone was just asking, what was the afternoon program again?
The afternoon program. It's like an after school program, except our school closes at noon. So our school closes at noon, and then this program is open for the rest of till 3 o'clock. Parents can pick up their children at any time. So they can come at 1 o'clock, they can come at 2 o'clock, they can come in half an hour, they can come in at any time to come pick up their child. So it's not, they stay with the teacher that they generally had in the morning. They stay with their teacher that they have in the morning, but it's just an after school care program, but it's run similar to the morning program.
Thank you so much. And the other question that was here was, what is the annual fee?
I don't know.
Range?
I honestly don't know. I don't. That's the administrator's office. I'm sure that's available online on the website, and I just don't ever keep track. I used to know it like when I first started, and I I don't keep track of it anymore. We have a program. I can tell you our program runs for 5 days, but children aren't there for 5 days. They come in a variety of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So we have 3-day and 2-day programs. The younger children generally come for 3-day and 2-day programs. The older 4s come for 4-day programs, 3 and 4-day programs, and they're staggered throughout the week.
Any other aha moments or takeaways that you want to share with us? Oh, and let me just say that in an ideal world, past COVID, we would be having these virtual play-based tours in the actual sites. We would actually schedule these tours and have you walk through the environment and really soak in the space. But unfortunately, I wish that we could say that COVID was a thing of the past, but it is not. And therefore, we're bringing it to you virtual to allow a lot more access to. But hopefully in the near future, we can have the virtual play-based tour where it's not virtual. We can drop the virtual and have you come into these spaces and think of how magical that would be. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think one of the things about this is that yes, it would be great if you can see the environment in a whole and kind of get a feel for it, and then also to see it when children are working in it. But it's very nice to have the videos to be able to see and listen to children and kind of study them and go back. I find them fascinating, and so yeah, I was a little worried about this too, but I think the videos can kind of give you a good starting point. So thank you, Liz, for inviting me and putting this together. I'm so pleased to be involved with this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We are going to send the link to this recording and the video for Town and Country. You can use the tiny URL that was in the flyer that was shared with you. If you don't have it, don't worry. Stay tuned from an email from me or the Teach Lark group, and you will get all those resources along with the previous virtual play-based tours as well, if you want to do it. If you want to ask another question, Christine and I will linger for a few more minutes.
Sure.
The rest of you have a fabulous night. It was a pleasure seeing all of you. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Hi, thanks for coming.